Anybody else hear them speak?
No, Patty, can't hear anyone.
Hey guys, minimizing noise, you're in now.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the marketing mashup. Give it up for the marketing mashup. All right, you guys online, can you hear us okay? Fantastic.
Loud.
All good. All good.
Hey, I'm looking around this room and I want to start with a thank you. It has been quite an unusual 3 or 4 months. If anyone has been living under a rock, you will notice that we have had a pandemic. And I think one thing that's incredible with the Microsoft ecosystem, we've got north of 2,600 partners who, and even in this room, there's organisations represented who have just done amazing work, keeping on, servicing customers, as well as balancing the challenges that you've had with your own staff. I know certainly internally we have found, due to the beauty of teams, how many of you who have had fatigue from back-to-back Teams meetings from sort of 8 through 6, and I knew something was wrong when I took out my Microsoft swipe card just for the experience, just to go to the letterbox and collect some letters. It was quite odd, but never mind, all good. So, and my second point, absolutely timely, the perfect segue. Huge congratulations to Damon Kelly and Enlighten for winning Microsoft Country Partner of the Year. That was not orchestrated to have you. He did the perfect thing. AirPods and all. That's okay. All good. So look, thank you for coming in today. I genuinely am excited to see humans, normal people in the flesh. It's a good thing. So we've got an action-packed lineup prepared for you. And for those of you who have been around Microsoft for a while, you'll know that this is the time of the year where we've been cooking up the strategy for the coming 12 months over the last 8 to 12 weeks. And this is a great opportunity for us to go into a little more detail around where our focus and priority is. So thank you to Pip and Olivia and the team who have pulled that together. And I'm sure there will be an opportunity for questions. And without further ado, I will hand over to the lovely Pip.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, everybody. So for those that don't know me, I'm Pip Simeon, and I'd also just like to extend the welcome to those that are online. So hi there, apologies, you are going to get a lot of my back seeing on screen, but I just sort of want to call out that we are recording this meeting, so if you're ready to sort of put your phones in on silent. In case of emergencies, follow me, I'll be the one screaming out the door. Toilets are on the way out as you came in, but you will need a Microsoft swipe pass as you come in. If you go there, you will get yourself tracked. So for those that are online, I'm going to endeavour to swipe and run the screen, just run through the agenda and sort of cover off some of the content that we've got for you today, which is a bit of a jam-packed schedule. And look, surprisingly, having come through COVID, we've got, you think with hand washing and that we wouldn't really have viruses around, but we have got a phenomenal number of people that are sick or are actually working from home. So we're going to be really embracing the virtual experience with those online. We've got about 30 odd people online, but we're going to have some of our presenters online today as well, which is going to really embrace the virtual as well as in person. Please do welcome questions on the way, but we do have a Q&A at the end as well. If you want to sort of sit on that, we may have your question answered as we go through. So to cover off what we're going to go through is Microsoft marketing. I'm in a new role. Those that might know me, I've been around for around 3.5 years, but I've led the partner marketing team or the go-to-market team here at Microsoft over those years. And now I'm the head of marketing or CMO here in New Zealand. So I'm now representing marketing. And I'm going to take you through what we're doing from a marketing perspective and what we're marketing to customers. And I'm going to take that through the lens of sharing with you how we market to customers in a sense of informing you and showing what you're doing, but also some elements of education. Some of the things that have cropped up when I've been talking to partners about how do you guys do it. So I'm going to kind of balance that a little bit of some of the things that we do so that we can sort of share that knowledge, because I don't think we've done that really much in the past. I think wearing my partner hat, that's going to be some beneficial from there. We're then going to deep dive into the solution area priorities. Now, this is where we're going to get our business group leads to speak in and around Azure, BizApps, Surface, SMB, and what else we're going to do, and modern workplace. And so that's where we're going to really deep dive into the core priorities of the business that are relevant not only to the marketers here in the room, but for those that are business group product leads into the business. Vitor is going to cover off SMB. We've got a number of SMB partners into the room, so we really bought it last minute today. Sorry, Vitor. I was like, hey, we've got some people in the room here that are going to love your content, so he's going to deep dive into some of the things that he's running across the course of the coming months. Then Olivia, for those who haven't met Olivia, she's the, no, she's just at the back of the room taking photos, the lady in the blue top there. She's contracted to do the partner marketing within the team at the moment until we work through what this time of year is what we call our blueprint. So as we have that little bit of retweak and reshuffle and across the business, working out who sits where and what teams. And so Olivia is on point for partner marketing over the course of the coming months. We then are going to introduce you to Anusha. Anusha's here. She's a lovely intern in our team. She runs all our communication channels. And so we really wanted to touch on some of those things of how you can connect with us regularly, how you can find out all about the information that we're on a regular basis that we're sharing and hearing with our partners. Also covering off in-a-day programs, which are a number of programs that are running across all our solution areas. Which are we're just getting more and more in play, and it's quite a strategy that our corporate and regional team are applying here into the market. And we've been years in advance of doing this into New Zealand, and Anusha is basically a global expert or subject matter expert and is informing our corporate office in and around how it runs here in New Zealand. So I really wanted her to sort of cover off that content and share with you how these workshops are running and how successful they are with customers. Ken's going to touch on Inspire, which is coming up in a few weeks, which will be running virtual, and then through into a Q&A. So lots of content. Try not to bore you to death. So we will drown you in slides first. So I just want to put an apology up. I was pulling this together, and I have got some hefty slides. And so we're going to share this document with you afterwards. So some of you like to take photographs. Some of you go, what the heck are you talking about, Pip? I can't see the details. So just note, we will share this deck around. It is being recorded as well so that you can share this off the business. But I just want to call this out is that we are Microsoft and we are Microsoft partners, that this is confidential information. And we're sharing this with you to inform your business and help inform your business decisions and help you collaboratively work with us. So just to call out there that this is confidential information. So into my deep and heavy slides. So new in role, I've been basically into role for 2 months, and they're kind of like, well, what's my strategy for New Zealand? What's my call out that I want to take from our corporate strategy, what we do from a corporate business, how we run that down through our regional team, pick up our investments, pick up our campaigns, and how do I want to apply that into New Zealand? And where I want to really land it, and where I'm going to be really doubling down our efforts, where I'm going to be like tripling down on our investments, is around on creating localized and relevant content and campaigns, and that are timely, that are fully integrated, so end to end across the customer journey, and then going to align that across our solution areas. And so there's a couple of words in here, which is real Microsoft speak. So our solution areas, so like our modern workplace solution area, our surface areas. So really tightly integrated into what our business group is doing by segmentation and through into target audiences. And how we're going to measure success from this is how we measure and across our marketing engagement index, which is how we measure success in New Zealand. And that's how we see how our customers are engaging with our content. So of course, as marketers, we have metrics such as likes, engagement, reach, time on page, etc. But where we measure our success in New Zealand is in our how much are our customers engaging in on our content, by how much time are they going to our events, what content they're reading, what data they're giving us, and on what content they're pulling through and how many times we're engaging with them. And that gives us an indication of how engaged they are with us. And we have, I'm not going to show you that slide because it will really drown you, but it really shows us how engaged our customers across our corporate segments and our enterprise segments are in with our marketing content. And so we have a really highly engaged audience in New Zealand to Microsoft customer content. In some areas there's gaps, in other areas they're highly engaged. So what we do here at Microsoft New Zealand is, and across from our corporate approach, is all digital marketing. What we do here in New Zealand is we supplement that by creating our own content, so that's that localized and relevant content, and then also through creating events. And so that's where we have that more in-person, one-to-many, one-to-few, one-to-one engagements that we have with our customers. So that's not going to change. And so that will all wrap around through some multiple touch points where we're covering off the end-to-end journey with customers. And so I've restructured my team around that. Before we had content leads and before we had event leads, and now we have integrated marketing managers that will work alongside our business group leads, so that will own that customer in every stage of where they are at and on the customer journey, to serve them the right content at the right time, at the right place, and to pull them through into the events where we want to more deeply engage with them. And I think critically with that, along this very sort of one captured sentence of my strategy is how do we put partners into this? And that's where I wear my partner hat, working within the team for 3 years, is that when we did our customer marketing, we never really aligned that to what our partners were doing. So I'm going to give some call outs about how I want to change that when we deliver our marketing across the mix. So touching on 4 areas of my key focus on my strategy is around, and I'm going to deep dive into some of these aspects and some of the detail, is around thought leadership, events and enablement, and really critically around enablement, how we're skilling the future of New Zealand, how we're skilling actually those in tech for a digital future. Campaigns and big bets, and then geo expansion, how we're bringing our DC into New Zealand over the course of the coming, over the course of the 2 years. And this is all integrated against our business group leads and all our solution areas and all their priorities and local plans. So it's all very integrated across the mix. This is a page of colour vomit, and I recognise that, but it's a really good demonstration of always on. And without seeing the detail, you see always on social amplification. Thought leadership is a continuous creation of content of thought leadership and case studies that we create. Our demand generation, always on webinars, informing our customers and our marketing plays, which I'll talk to. Always on events and engagement, how we're engaging with our customers. And then always on baseline events, how we're educating, informing and enabling our customers through the likes of Azure fundamentals, etc. So whilst a lot of detail, what I want to really demonstrate from a customer lens is that we're always on at Microsoft, and that you might not see that through landing through, you're not going to see it on billboards and you're not going to see it on TV commercials, but you're going to see it certainly through always on digital campaigns if you are engaged in Microsoft content. Now, to get engaged in Microsoft content, you need to be clicking on some form of content and giving your data through gated content to be pulled into a marketing play, and so you'll be served up content. So we'll talk about how you could do that, or play, if you're not involved in any way, shape of that, how we can get you involved in that. So this slide is really critical for me. This is how we run customer marketing here at Microsoft. So this is what we call our marketing plays. Last year, they were called our global engagement programs from corporate, and these are all run from our corporate head office. We don't touch these in New Zealand. This all lands programmatically here in New Zealand. We have an automation tool that drives that called Marketo, and everything programmatically lands into the customer at whatever stage that they are in on their customer journey. So there's a number of pillars across the top there, which is all around digital transformation and industry, DT, education, financial services, government, etc. And then across our solution areas on modern work and security apps and infra and business apps. And what I wanted to demonstrate here is that we have multiple customer journeys across multiple topics, across multiple solutions, across multiple workloads. And the depth of content that sits in behind each of these customer journeys ranges from emails, thank yous, webinars, enablement, white papers, case studies, you name it, we have this depth of content, which is actually available to you as partners. And you can supplement your creation of content with our Microsoft content, as long as it's not gated, because if it's our gated content, then we will capture the lead. But thinking about your customer journeys and how you're serving your customers and our customers' content, you might want to pick up some of our Microsoft content and use that as a format, use it for quotes, use it for images, use the infographics, whatever you might want to need in this. We have this big depth of content that sits in behind these workload areas. So as much as that probably doesn't mean too much to you, that there is this depth of information behind it that you can utilize as content. Now, you can connect with me and I can get you into these marketing plays, and or I can get you some of this content depending on what you're needing and what you're wanting. You might want a Microsoft white paper that you can refer to, so it can help your, your Google algorithms, etc., by having Microsoft tag content. So always a means of being able to utilize valuable content within your journey. So what I want to introduce now is some of the campaign work that we're doing here at Microsoft. And I'm just going to click on my screen. So what this campaign is as a campaign framework, and this is based off the stage where we're at. It's where we are in a stage of COVID, where we need to be creating content and driving customers in through the stage that they're going through within their business. So this, I just need to bring this up because it's just basically landed yesterday. So it's not something that I'm familiar with as I came back from holiday yesterday. And it's not working. Excuse me for a minute. No, I'm not. Anyway, I'll do my best. So what the content of this is built on is a massive, from the Boston Consulting Group, so based on research, is where are people at in their business, their feeling in their business, how they're doing in the face of change, and what they have in common. So really through the BCG Consulting Group was really the focus for businesses at the moment, at the stage they're at, is around protecting and growing the top line, developing agile operations, enabling people, accelerating data and digital programs, enhancing cybersecurity, and strengthening financials. So there is also a depth of deck in here around if you want some of this data and some of this research, I can keep this for you if there is interest of you to have this. So we've built this campaign from a Microsoft corporate level and how we're going to land this into New Zealand. And really the messaging that we're wanting to land, or as our unique selling point for Microsoft, is that only Microsoft can accelerate and enable resilience in business with people, teams, and organizations. So that's our unique selling proposition. And how we're going to do that is really sort of promoting with remote teamwork, with remote development, rapidly adapting and automating business, and how we can create a sales and service and agile supply chain is how we're going to create a campaign around that to demonstrate what people are dealing with in their businesses today and how we can support people and communicate to them through campaign optics and campaign creative and land them through a customer journey into our Microsoft lead or into our marketing plays. So this is the creative demonstration that's in play at the moment. So this is a digital campaign that's landed globally and landing in New Zealand. And this is really about simply and clearly communicating how we can help customers at where they are on their journey with the offerings and the challenges that they're facing in their business today. And these are real world challenges that they're facing. So really our campaign is called Open for Business. And through the creative outputs, it lands them in on a website, which we then capture the leads, serving them content, serving them New Zealand content. We're part of an APAC pool, that's how we land, but serving our New Zealand content and doubling down on our media to land people in through where they're facing their challenges and what might be relevant to them in their business stage. This lands across sort of multiple solution areas. We've got Microsoft 365, Dynamics, Power Apps, Teams, also into our DevOps as well. So there's multiple iterations of this. And sort of what I wanted to show you here, and this is probably, I guess, not much more of a, is it just probably about informing or showcasing of how we create up a campaign and what this looks like to land people into our journeys. So really for us, it's around reach, engagement, acquisition, consideration, and decision making. And really taking our campaign landing environment, which is the creative and across the pillars that we have, so enable teams anywhere, and how through paid media, social, owned and operated channels that we drive our customers through into the marketing plays. And so remember, those marketing plays was all the deep content, the customer journeys that we have, and then how we nurture the customers along that journey at whatever stage and age they are on their buying journey. And then through machine learning, it's round into what is that sales motion. So we'll programmatically deliver that lead up into whether it's into an inside sales team, whether it's direct into a seller, whether it's into field sales, or whether it's into a partner. So that's machine learning will drive that outcome of activity. So all of this we'll be supporting with there's gated hero content that we're creating here in New Zealand, creating webinars. But I just wanted this to sort of demonstrate that we're creating a campaign, but there's actually quite a programmatic process around it and how we drive the logical next step for the customer to land them into the right customer play, the right marketing play, so then we can serve them to the right, at the right sales stage, serve them to the right, I guess, to the right seller, to the right environment, whether that's direct to a partner, etc., and how we land them in the business. There's 2 stages to this. There's actually 3 stages to this campaign. And what I want to communicate is that at the moment we're in the stage of where we're responding. And actually here in New Zealand, we're in a different stage. We're in a stage of recovering. Now you probably might not feel that so much. You guys are actually at the coalface of where the customers are. But so there's 3 phases to this campaign. And so this is going to land out over the course of the rest of the calendar year. And so we'll see this as media spend that we're doubling down on here in New Zealand, as well as sort of active work that we're doing and around it. So we've had a crisis response phase, and we've just actually shut that off in New Zealand because we're no longer in that crisis mode. However, our counterparts in Australia, the US, Brazil, etc., are very much in this phase. So this campaign is well lit up into those areas as they're responding to some of the areas around their business challenges. What we're about to come into is the resilient at work phase, and so the next stage. And so I'm going to show you what that creative looks like. And so really it's around sort of just showing you what we're doing. You might want to pick up some tone, you might pick up some manner, pick up some words, but just also showing you our creative output so that you have an awareness of actually what we're doing and how it's driving our customer output. The phase 3, which is not even, I'm sure it's being built at the moment, but is our return to work. So how we're going to be getting people back into the working environment. I'm not going to touch on that. This is really probably just a sort of demonstration of our current pillar of where our messaging is landing, and then moving through into where our campaign solutions and our tone, where we're moving into, I guess, the key touch points and comms points around remote teamwork, security, rapidly adapting and automating. So really moving into that resilience stage. And this is the creative output that we're doing. And so you'll start seeing this, this look and feel start landing in and across digital, if you're in that space, but really the visual hook and our tone that we're landing, which is really sort of coming out the other side. And so you'll start seeing this sort of creative land in and across a lot of what we do. I just want to touch on some of the other aspects that we do for Microsoft marketing, and those that will be familiar with what we do. And that's really in around the events that we land. We do a lot of event work here in New Zealand. Actually, having worked in partner landscape, everyone does lots of events, right? They are a very popular thing to do. We really put the event space in where customers are highly engaged in along our customer journey versus at the beginning. So we really put it where they've engaged in the content, where they've consumed it, and then we want to serve them up local events to be able to meet their needs. So kind of ignoring our corp area, what we call first party, just as to informing, it's around like our Ignites, our Envision, our Inspires. Then our third-party sponsored events are our big keynotes and expos and our sponsorships. But this is where we really locally sort of land our activity. So this is where we create our events which are aligned to corporate business needs. So these are like our Azure fundamentals. And so I'm going to touch on some of the real baseline events that we do in the business. And then our local programs. So that's where we sort of meet our local needs or gaps in the market. So this is where we might sponsor the likes of New Zealand Tech Week, or we're trying to reach an audience there, or we're trying to particularly reach a particular audience like for the health public sector within health through HIN. So that's our local sponsoring that we do. What I want to point out here is we get a lot of requests for sponsorship, and we got a lot of requests like, can you partner with us to sponsor into events? That's not necessarily our marketing strategy. It's either create our own or create those from a Microsoft marketing perspective. And our funding requirements, and sort of Olivia will probably touch on this and around sort of the criteria and around funding for partner marketing moving forward. We've got lots of new events. I just wanted to touch on our baseline events because these are an always-on approach for us and our marketing team. We've had our Azure fundamentals, our virtual training days across over the course of the last year, hugely popular for us. We had to pivot to virtual like everybody else. We were going through that. Once a month, we'd probably train about 150 individuals in Azure fundamentals. Going virtual, we can train up to 1,000 people, up to, I think the max we've done is 1,400 in a session. So we're having an incredible reach and engagement around these fundamentals. So we're going to be continuing with virtual in this space versus moving back to in-person, because we know the demand is there. And so we're going to continue ongoing outside of when we can do back in person, continue with a virtual approach. There's been some great learnings in and around that. A lot of new stuff, particularly in and around Microsoft 365, is we're bringing in basically the fundamentals of the training days in and across modern work. So they're all new into the space. And again, we'll continue when they're the one day courses, continue doing those in a virtual space, because we know that the reach can hit a lot more people than we can do in person. And then we've got biz apps. We've got fundamentals coming through for biz apps as well. Two things I want to point out last on events is around Microsoft and Ignite and Envision, because I know these are hugely popular topics for you guys. Ignite Digital Tour, we are going to be partnering with Australia. So we don't have Ignite in New Zealand for the last 3 years. So we're going to be now having it with Australia. So we're having a massive court-run event that'll be run somewhere in Australia as yet. In an ideal world, that is going to be an in-person event. I think for February, we're going to be open by then. So ideally, it'll be in person. And that's a free event across 2 days, targeting a tech audience. So that's something that we really want to not only drive our customers to, but we want to drive your customers to, and particularly also in your team. So that's something I just wanted to bring onto your radar. And then we've got Envision. Now, this is generally directed to our customers and your customers. This is an invite-only event. Currently, it's looking around March next year. Again, in Australia, New Zealand, fingers crossed, an in-person event, we will see. But there's something that I just want to put on your radar is that these are two big events where we really want high engagement, where we partner with you to be able to bring your customers and your tech audiences along too. Two things in around creating content. Content is critical to us. And why I bring us is run by Bob Glancy, who's our comms director. Two parts around thought leadership and case studies. Thought leadership is critical for us, how we set our tone in the market and around trust and around innovation as keynotes. What I want to bring this into is like, how do we partner with you as partners in on thought leadership? How do we continue having that conversation with you to share those stories together? So I wanted to just have these as thought starters with you to connect with me or connect directly with Bob, that when you are having and leading thought leadership is like, how can we partner and how can we work with, but then also how can we leverage our channels to help promote the work that you're doing and promote your voice either within our either news centre or in across our own business. And the other big part that we do in marketing is creating case studies. So we are prolific at creating case studies, and I actually don't think we've done such a great job at telling the world about them. So we have got a raft of content that we're about to drop down a lot of media spend in on amplifying stories. What I wanted to communicate to here was around the process of case studies, because we're always getting asked by partners, how do we create case studies? How can we do that how can we do that with Microsoft? What does that look like? Our case study funding sits in APAC. They are focused on the customer, and we're bringing tightly integrated stories in with the partner into the store and into the journey of this. The process around is basically putting a request in. We have to give a lot of information, what the story is about, what the customer, what the workload is, what the activity, what the process is, what the partner is, how that all happened. So it tells a good story, right? And then we get that approved or not. The great thing about this, that APAC have tripled down the funding and on creating case studies this year. And I'll tell you a really good story, and it's a distillery story, is Mike picked up the phone to me. He's like, Pip, got a great story. It's about Waterkey. We've just done a massive DC migration, done a massive data migration on them. Want to tell a great story. And I got onto the form and started writing the data down. I was like, tell me all about it. Lots of questions. Took us 10 minutes. And I got we call it a tier one. And so we got a tier one story on that. So we got 30 grand US dollars to create 4 aspects of the story: white paper, written case study, video case study, social assets, selling assets, etc. So what I wanted to showcase here is that we can create case studies, but it's about a partnership on how we create that story together with the customer at the hero. How we want to partner with you on that is that if we get an approved funding from APAC on that, is how we partner on the media investment to tell the world about that stories together and collaboratively between Microsoft and you as a partner. So that's in my team. So I want to, really just use this forum to be able to tell you about that. We have lots of stories, and what we're going through is really mapping those stories to the marketing plays, because what we want to do is put those case studies into the customer journey so they get programmatically served in and around, or post an event, they're programmatically getting served up the case study. We've got lots of gaps in some areas, like SAP on Azure, we've got nothing in. I don't think we've got anything on SQL migration. We've got lots on Teams. We don't have a lot on security. So what we've done is really mapped all the content that we've got, and we've got some big gaps. So that's where we've got the opportunity to really lean on you guys. So how do we partner on creating content? I can't say it's always going to approve. I don't make those decisions. But we have the opportunity to partner on that together. And if we get your stories out, we can really help, utilise some of that funding and really would punch above our weight and secure some of that for our Kiwi partners and for our Kiwi customers. And I think that it is for me, and I'm going to hand over to you, Patty, who is online.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Awesome. Hey everyone. Am I going to control the slides here when I do this? I'll take control. Pip, is that the best way to do that?
Yeah, give it a go.
All right.
Yep, all yours.
Very good. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. Great to see you all, albeit virtually. Just stuck in my data center that we're building at the moment. Today, I can talk to you about the Azure priorities. Let's see if this works for the next slide. There we go. We have the Azure priorities for FY21. Not a lot of change in terms of the look and feel of the slide from last year if you were here. And I'm still calling it the Azure triangle for the priorities and the triangle that we're focusing on, to use my dad joke from last year that no one laughed at. On the slide, you can see we've got 3 focus areas, which is migrate and innovate. And then the foundation of that triangle was enable, and that's really a big focus for us this year, particularly making sure that the market is enabled around certification, making sure partners are telling the right story around using our cloud adoption framework and how that's the best practice of getting your way to cloud, and making sure that customers are well architected for applications and overall architecture for Azure in general. And then with a big focus on partner and customer certification, so skills building. Last year we had a program that was primarily focused on customer. This year partners are open to that as well, and Ken is working on that for us, which is great. So enable is a big focus area. We'll be obviously driving that from a customer angle for the cloud adoption framework, and well architected as well. And we have a developer product manager called Sadir Rawat, who's focusing on developer engagement at both a customer and strategic partner level. So those of you who have a large amount of devs within your organizations, he's very keen to talk to them as well. And he's really focusing on that sort of that developer community to ensure they're all up to speed and talking the tech that they like to talk about. From a migrate and an innovate perspective, those areas haven't really changed from last year, other than you'll see we've added Windows Virtual Desktop, and under hybrid cloud solutions will fall the Azure VMware solutions workload or sales play for New Zealand and Australia, because that goes live in the Australian region very shortly, and this market has a large amount of VMware-based infrastructure that we can quite easily shift over to Azure and put in the Australian region at a drop of a hat. Windows Virtual Desktop is obviously a great one for those customers looking to provide their, I guess their staff access to their applications and their platforms virtually, realizing that they can't necessarily do it all via on-prem solutions. So that's been a great win for us. On the innovate side, really strong focus around taking applications and modernizing them, particularly those in New Zealand that we have a strong .NET app base in New Zealand, which shows the Microsoft friendly nature of the market. So there's a big focus on driving that. All these areas I'm calling out will fall into our Azure Starter Offer program, and of course the Azure Migration program with support from our fast track engineers. So it's really important that if you are qualified as co-sell and then advanced specialized, that you understand that your organization qualifies for these other programs. And if you can talk to that in your communication to your customers that you qualify for those programs, it's an extra backing that shows that Microsoft's behind you to help you and your customer on that journey. So really key to make sure we do get your co-sale prioritized and then advanced specialized on these key areas you see here. I won't go through all of them individually, but a couple of ones I've called out there as key focus points. Just mindful of the fact I've only got 8 minutes. Is that right, Pip? Didn't build out like I wanted. There we go. So just to sort of expand on that out in terms of a partner perspective, on the left you can see migrate, innovate, and enable. Our metrics will still have a focus obviously on driving consumed revenue, but our scorecard tweaks a little bit to be focused on customer ads still from last year will carry through. So that's driving customers consuming more than 5K Azure per month in US dollars. And then we'll have a strong focus on data and AI consumed revenue and application innovation consumed revenue. And then as a sharing with the modern workplace team, the Azure security ACR or consumed revenue will actually fall under the modern workplace team, but will be backed and supported by me and of course the sellers that are involved with that product in Azure. So a bit of a cross-reference to the security message that we want to show as a holistic story across Microsoft. From a sort of migrate, innovate and enable perspective, really you'll see some pretty consistent messaging in terms of the marketing tactics being continuing to drive the Azure Starter Offer assessment pilot to migration emphasis there. We'll be running virtual events per what Pip was saying, focused on key areas. And in fact, we're going to be launching an Azure VMware Solutions virtual event in early September. And then we want to continue to really amplify the content that we have available, like Pip mentioned, but also work with you on any content that you've got to plug into that beast of marketing that we have that will drive interest in the products and call you out as a great partner at the same time. That message continues through into Innovate. So Starter Offer, Innovate workshops, if you're a qualified partner for that, based on being co-sell ready, and then moving on to Advanced Specialized, continue the virtual events, amplification, and then some of you would have seen the end-of-day workshops we ran last year. There's going to be some others added to that, which Anusha is running, so that will be continue running through with that initiative, adding on Azure in a day and App in a day to those workshops, which have been proving quite positive for us in terms of next steps in building pipeline. And then finally, the skills perspective I've kind of touched on already in terms of the baseline events that Pip's mentioned, and then the skills initiative and driving certification. So that's really, I know it's a bit of a speed through, but mindful of time. And then here's my vomit slide that talks about all the events and what we're running as well, but most of that's been covered off by Pip already. Any questions? Take that as a no. Pip, who do you want to hand over to next?
I think we're handing over to Ricky now. Thank you, Patty.
Thanks, team.
Ricky, filling in for Robert. I think Robert's plan, he's on leave, was to take his family back to the Czech Republic. Unfortunately, that has not been allowed. So I think instead he's in a camper van with 4 young boys under 5. So he's a braver man than me. But I will do my best to run you through the modern work and security priorities for the next 12 months. And before I jump into the slides, I just call attention to the slight tweak in the naming convention. So those of you that were familiar with last year working with the modern workplace team, that has just changed a little bit. I think maybe that adage, work is what we do, not where we go. So taking away the workplace terminology and then really emphasizing the security piece as well. Being remote, being sort of removed from your place of work, it does bring a whole raft of security challenges, and it's something that Microsoft is well positioned to help you work through. So Robert has gone a little bit off piste with his slides, less of a template, and I'll just kind of talk through them as best I can, but apologies if it's a little bit smaller, but I guess the business objectives or the priorities over here, talking about growing usage, and that comes back to, again, that secure remote work. We've seen an absolute ramp in Teams meeting and calling, Teams consumption, and there may be now a whole bunch of users out there that, previously didn't need access to Teams or weren't using it day to day that are now, fully engaged with Teams and that part of our business. So really doubling down on that and making sure they have a great experience and that they're getting the full benefit out of the product. As I mentioned, though, that brings security into the play. We've got more people now working remotely, perhaps at home installing programs or applications that potentially they didn't do when they were sat at a desktop with everyone else. And so that just, increases the need for a really tight security position and being able to have a compliant workplace as well. So a real focus on that within the team. And then the last piece, seats, driving seats and devices. And again, this might be a case of a whole element of your workforce that perhaps previously, used a shared terminal or had a desktop, now have a remote device, or first line workers that, now need to be enabled with access to the network and so on and so forth. So a focus on that kind of new users, new devices, new seats as well. So that's kind of the top three for the modern work business group. Now, to make this happen, M365 training days have been a really popular staple, and the certifications that go with it. And so we'll continue to run those via partner. I think there's a slide next around what that looks like, but a really important element of a Microsoft partner strategy to really light up M365. Thought leadership, particularly around security and CISO councils, is something that we are very keen to continue to drive. For those of you that don't know, we have a room downstairs, which we call the Modern Workplace Room, and we can run either as Microsoft or jointly with partners, or have partners run them independently, what we call new ways of working sessions. So we have a bunch of devices. It's all run on a guest demo tenant, and you can have, be it the C-suite, all the EAs, the IT team, the sales team, the HR team, whoever it might be, come through and have quite a personalized experience of getting a device out of the box, firing it up, using Teams, having the security checks come through. So just a really kind of hands-on and engaging session that can be, like, as I said, partner-led or Microsoft-led as well. And then all of the workshops, the hackathons, the kind of getting hands-on with solutions and building those out. Again, we rely really heavily on partners to help us bring them to life. As I move into the workshops delivered by partners, so we've got three kind of key pillars here. These are opportunities for us to, again, jointly present to our customers around those topics. I'm not going to make any commitment because I'm not entirely sure on the detail around the funding of these, but reach out to Robert if that's something that you think could be a good, if you're not doing it today, a good value add for your business. And I'm sure there's a number of steps to work through, but as soon as you're certified, we can go hand in hand and deliver these workshops on these topics to partners to really drive that modern work story and security as well. So with that, I think I've probably done a pretty rush job, but hopefully it now flows through to Surface. Oh, there's the cat. Everyone's got a vomit slide apparently, so a very colourful one with lots of blue and purple. Surface, so this is something a little bit closer and near and dear to my heart. Here we go. So this year, three key priorities for Surface. One of them talks to what Pip opened with, and that's that digital execution. So in the world of Surface, I like to think of what we've done over the last few years as being a little more kind of manual. We ship a device out, we have someone come and do a demo, we do an event in person, and that's kind of been our marketing strategy. We now have a marketing play, or formerly a GEP, for Surface. So integrating that into our motion is going to be a really critical thing for us this year. What it does is it just brings awareness to the market, it brings people on that journey, and hopefully it just brings sort of an accelerated sales cycle. So Surface is part of the GEP, but what Pip also alluded to is that a lot of this content is very corp heavy, and so where we're looking for inspiration from partners is those great stories, those local tidbits that we can include into this motion. Because we do have the ability as a business group to plug in some Kiwi content. So really looking for those stories, compelling case studies, and then working with partners to amplify those stories out. Digital marketing, webinars, telemarketing you saw will always be on, but being able to tell a Kiwi story is really important too. Number two is education. Now, this is not an area locally for Surface that we've had a lot of success, but it's something that as a core business, we think we're quite well placed in the next 12 months to go after. Remote learning has become a critical topic worldwide. And I do believe that we have a really compelling story around teaching on a modern Surface device that enables you to be untethered from the front of the classroom, to use pen, to use mouse and keyboard when it's appropriate, have touch, to be collaborative, and that ranges right from our smallest product, the Surface Go, right through to Surface Hubs, devices like this, which you can think the number of educators that perhaps wish they had a Surface Hub available to them to be able to deliver content in a more natural way during lockdown and scenarios like that. So Surface and education is a huge play for us, and if that's something, again, that your business is focused on or has, you know, some pedigree in working with schools and teachers, please let us know, because I think there's a lot of work we can do together this year. And the last one hasn't built out fully, but Surface Plus M365 has been something we've focused on pretty heavily for the last years, and where we've had a lot of successes in our enterprise or corporate accounts space, and we've had some really phenomenal wins telling that joint M365 plus Surface better together story. What we would like to do now is scale that out to SMB market, and specifically device as a service. Being able to put a Surface device alongside a CSP monthly bill, we think is a really compelling offer. You know, if we talk about, you know, cell phone usage or many other things, subscription is 100% the norm now. We have a huge install base for M365, and we want to do a really good job this year of telling the story of the value of having a Surface device to complement your M365 licensing, and whether that's around, you know, hey, great, you're now licensed for Teams and you need a device that's got a really, really strong webcam, mics, and speakers, or it's, hey, guys, we're all going to move to remote workplace now, and so we need you to be agile and be able to move around, and we want to have a lightweight premium device to go with your M365 subscription. So again, even if you're not a Surface partner today, or that's not your bread and butter selling hardware, we want to build programs that make that easy for you to sell, one, as a service, and two, support the hardware conversation if you are a strong CSP Microsoft M365 partner. So we're providing a lot of assets around how we can bring that to life and how we can make it easy to do. As I talk to the scorecard, look, I run a pretty simple business, Surface Hub on a revenue front. And then scorecard wise, we're always looking for customer adds. That's an important metric for us. So when we get to 50 Surface devices in an organization, we start to see momentum build. And so that's kind of how we measure a customer add, 50 plus devices. And that metric of Surface plus M365, you know, where we see our big wins, the customers that have invested heavily, mostly in E5 and going all in on the Microsoft end-to-end story. And it is just, I always want to call it out in every partner session that I do, that we do 100% of our business via the channel. We don't take any deals in hardware direct. And so if you're winning in a big M365 opportunity or even a medium one, and you're looking to attach Surface, you know that it's going to come via the channel. So just worth emphasizing that. So for those of you that don't know, my name's Ricky, and happy to talk afterwards around how any of this applies to you. But for now, I think we're going to move on to Biz Apps.
Which is me.
Of course, it's Pip.
Which I'm so not a subject expert matter on at all. But actually, I was just standing back having a glass of wine, and I heard behind me, I can pay partners on that. I turned around, and it was Suzette. And so I said, come and talk to partners, actually, what you do while you've got this forum. And so I'd like to introduce Suzette, really on the fly. She was just whispering in our ears. And I want you tell the partners what you do and how you bring to life all the assessments and how you pay partners and how you can enable partners, because it's amazing what you do. And I don't think a lot of you know what she does. And Suzette unlocks a lot.
Cool. Hi everyone, I'm Suzette Taylor, Solution Assessment Lead for Microsoft New Zealand. I'm based in the Auckland office. So I work with Paddy very closely, I work with Robert, I work with the Dynamics team, and I work with the PDMs, I work with everyone. We deliver, my team deliver through partner assessments to help customers meet their business needs and move to the cloud. So with that, I've got tools that we use. So with my team in Corp, they've negotiated framework agreements with a whole bunch of ISV vendors. We have our own tools in Azure Migrate and Idea that we can use. And I've got people trained and experts in how to use them, that they're available to help you use them. So we've got tools that do assessments for Azure, for cloud economics, for data and AI, for everything. We've got tools and assessments to pay you to deliver secure teamwork assessments that go through you set up your team's environment in haste for COVID-19. Is it secure? Let's do an assessment and make sure what you set up is right. You want to move to Teams. You've heard all about it. We've got a secure teamwork assessment we can run. So we've got tools in Block 64 and other types of vendors that can help with that, help identify, what collaboration tools are the customer using? How can they move to teams? What security risks can they unlock and solve with that? So with the programs they've got, we can help you deliver assessments. We've got funding. So with Paddy's team through the ASO program, my team look after that, and we work with partners for funding for the ASO. And that goes through not only from Azure, from secure teamwork, for Dynamics as well. So we work across all business groups, all products, all programs. So if you're in the assessment space and want to talk to me, reach out to Pip and she can pass your details on to me, and we can talk to you about how we can work together. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you. Cool. Because I know how much partners like to get sort of to invest in their business and the help to do that. So thank you. I didn't build the slides, so I'm going to build that out. Here we go. I'm not a subject matter expert on biz apps at all, so apologies for that. Sandeep Basu, he's the business group lead, he's based in Singapore and is sick, and so couldn't attend today. So I got the joy of presenting on this. So biz apps, 3 key priorities for the year is 1, landing new cloud customers, which is critical in the solution area, and then expand, and so particularly around that is increasing the market share and accelerating the model. And on that, 2, expanding all existing customers, and around that's growing the monthly active usage and cross-selling the workloads and renewals. And the 3rd, migrate the base to the cloud. So this is migrating the on-prem base into the cloud. And so these are the core priorities that we're going to land in through, I guess, the sales plays that they focus on, which is going to be the priorities around staying connected with the customers, running adaptive business operations, and adapting and automating the business processes. So how Sandeep and the team are going to do this, and the marketing tactics, and really where is the money going to land for partners in and around the tactics around this. And it's around the 2 partner workshops and the Catalyst Accelerator offers, and that's how the funding's going to land. We're going to be building out a big Power Platform awareness campaign. So we're sort of just starting to build the noise in on this. Thumbs up from the back, thank you. So that's something that we're really going to build on and that we're pulling through. One thing that we haven't landed here in New Zealand, or haven't had the investment from Corp, is our marketing plays, and so that's where we've had the content or the digital spend or the awareness landing in New Zealand. So that's something we're still waiting on confirmation to land, and we've got our fingers crossed that will land in on that. And then we're going to apply a heap of money to really double down that awareness and on media spend on that. Something that we're going to really dial up on is around third-party investment, investing into where our Dynamics audiences are. So that's where whether it's our HR audiences, whether it's our customer CRM audiences, is we're going to build in on that event participation to help build that noise of Dynamics in the market against our competitors. What I sort of touched on before is our Dynamics 365 and Power Platform training days. So these are becoming baseline events that we haven't had previously. In the past, we've had Dynamics run days. So now we're going to have an always-on baseline event in and around that Power Platform and Dynamics in the mix there. The other one that the team are really focused in on is around creating webinars and roundtables. So how we're just trying to build that always-on messaging. So I did a pretty top-line job on that. That's about as much as I can sort of give you in the mix. Again, this isn't for digestion now. These slides here are all about demonstrating always on, and that when you've got the deck to review afterwards, to know that when we've got sponsorships, when we've got webinars running, and what we have in and around our training days. Vitor, over to you. If you want to take control, or we can run it here.
Yeah, I'll take control. So hello, everyone. Great to see so many familiar faces. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Vitor Cabrera, the Small and Medium Business Marketing Manager. I used to be part of the team led by Pip, the go-to-market team, so have done a lot of work with some of you guys. So what I want to talk today, it's really the new model on how we look at small and medium business marketing, especially true customer marketing. We have the true partner model, which will be covered later on, but just want to give you an idea of how we look at marketing for SMB. So first thing, let me break down the concept of SMBs for Microsoft. Within the small and medium business segment, we actually have 3 sub-segments, which we call top and manage, mid-market, and small business. So there's a basic definition on how we segment those accounts, basically on the company size. And what we're going to be doing moving forward is trying to align more with all the other programs that you have heard before, and make sure that the larger customers within the SMB pool receive a special treatment. So when you look at the pyramid on the left, which I hope you guys can see well, you can also see the cloud mix within those subsegments. And fair to say that the cloud mix, which means customers that have cloud solutions, is higher on top and manage and mid-market customers, basically companies with 25 seats, 25 employees and above. So we know that the impact of the pandemic has been huge across the region, and the businesses that are suffering the most are the truly small businesses, the 20 and below seats. Although technology is critical for them to thrive and succeed on this new normal, where we are seeing most of the opportunities on the short term is with mid-market and top unmanaged customers. So this is how we're going to be focusing on. This is where New Zealand will take the lead to take marketing programs out there, really focusing on the top part of that pyramid, basically with two main motions: account-based marketing for the top and managed accounts, which we're talking about a few hundred accounts here in New Zealand. Those are the accounts that used to be managed before, and then they are downgraded to SMB, and also accounts that are prime, to be promoted to a corporate-like engagement on the following fiscal year. So what we're going to be doing, those accounts will start right now to have a different treatment. We're going to add them to the account-based marketing motions we have running across Asia Pacific, and that covers the three clouds: Azure, Modern Workplace, and BizApps, plus Surface. So what does that mean? We're going to be targeting them, especially via LinkedIn, and they'll be invited and eligible for baseline events that have been presented earlier to you, like in-a-day workshops, Microsoft virtual training days. Also, the solution assessments that Suzette just covered will be eligible for those top and managed customers. So really, really giving them a special treatment. Although they are not managed, they'll be eligible for a series of programs, which is super exciting. Then we look at the next tier down, which is the mid-marketing tier. And the strategy there is really white space prospecting. There's a huge number of accounts within that segment. And what we are doing, we're going to be leveraging LinkedIn and Teats, which is a programmatic ad platform. Some of you might be familiar with that. And we're going to enhance and actually refine the targeting on the companies we want to reach out to. So basically companies with 300 or more employees here in New Zealand. And then we exclude managed accounts and also the top unmanaged customers. So the goal there is really to find net new contacts, add them to our market engagement programs, and make sure that we going to be handling better quality leads to our teams, and eventually some of those leads will be referred to partners based on the models we have in place. So again, the idea is really to make sure we are targeting bigger businesses within that SMB pool and generating less leads for sure, but leads with a higher revenue potential. Because you guys probably are aware about that. We had challenges in the past with lots of leads with a small dollar value assigned to them, and partners not picking them up on the other side. So we want to make sure that whatever leads we are creating and handing off are good quality and have a good revenue potential with that. We're going to be using Facebook and Instagram, which had huge return for us this year. Unfortunately, there is a global pause on using Facebook and Instagram for Microsoft until August, due to the way they manage hate speech on their platforms. Not just Microsoft, there are lots of companies around the world that are withdrawing their presence from Facebook at the moment. We hope we can resume using that platform, but LinkedIn is really our platform of choice right now for SMB marketing. And we have the biggest share of voice across Asia Pacific on the tech sector on that platform. And then you're probably asking what happens with the bottom of the pyramid. So this is where the global demand center and the programmatic motions that Pip mentioned before that we have with Marketo will be touching. So they'll be looking at the bottom of the pyramid, running ads, but basically driving customers to a direct purchase motion. So pushing them to a website where they can buy Microsoft 365 or subscribe to Azure by themselves. That's a motion already in place. for the last couple of years. It will continue. What are going to have on top of that will touch all segments, but have a very compelling message within the SMB sector is the one commercial campaign that Pip mentioned, the Open for Business. So this will go to market in August. We are finalizing the media plan. And although it's going to be touching every single type of customer, due to the nature of the New Zealand market, we know that most of the customers that are going to be reaching out to will be small businesses. So very, very excited about that. It's going to be an awareness and education campaign, slightly different from what we do with the top of the pyramid, where it's really about lead generation. And we'll be focusing on 2 pillars. So Pip mentioned a couple of pillars and on that messaging framework. The 2 pillars we're going to be focusing in Q1, quarter 1, which will be August and September, is to enable teams anywhere and secure and remote access. So we identify those 2 as the main pillars to focus on the first moment. And as we go through the year, we're going to be activating more pillars around remote sales and servicing, remote developing, and also other pillars that we mentioned there. And then on top of everything that I mentioned here, there's the thought leadership and content marketing strategy, where we manage, there's a SMB business portal, which we call the business portal for New Zealand. We have newsletters, we have blog posts that we feature at Microsoft News Center, and a few other things, but really focusing on case studies within the SMB segment. And thanks that I have received so many referrals from you guys via Paul Balkett, via Joe Donnelly. So keep the nominations coming through. We're going to try to produce as many cases as we can. And the other exciting stuff which we'll be sharing after the call when we receive the slides and all the information. It's a research that we have commissioned with Forrester for the SMB market across Asia Pacific. And there's a specific spotlight research and article that they did for New Zealand on where we try to understand what's the growth appetite and what's hindering digital transformation. So very timely research. The interviews were conducted between January and February this year. So it is factoring in the impacts of COVID-19 and the current market we are at. So it's very interesting reading for you guys, and I think it can help with some of your planning, with some of your strategies. So make sure we share that with you. The only comment is, please do not distribute that to our customers directly. We do have a marketing campaign where we're going to gate those research and capture some leads on the back of that. But feel free to leverage that information, those findings from the research for your own marketing strategies and planning. So very cool piece of research, super fresh, it's from this year, and it has some very interesting insights around the mindset, the gap between the mindset and the actions that small businesses are taking to enable digital transformation. So in a nutshell, this is the strategy. Their narrative will be 100% focused on crisis response and cost savings. And the products that we'll be pitching is Microsoft 365, leading with Teams and security, Azure, Dynamics 365 Business Central, and Power Platform, which I think is no surprise for the people on this meeting, right? These are the products we have been focusing on the SMB segment during the last year as well. So that's it. If there's any questions, if there's any comments, please pop in the chat or just feel free to ask. And once again, if you want to learn more about SMB, if you want to engage with the team, which is led by Carol Brown here in New Zealand, please reach out to myself, Paul Balkett, Joe Donnelly, or Darren Oxley. This is the SMB team here. So thank you. And I will hand over to Olivia to talk about go-to-market priorities.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm Olivia. I'm a partner marketing advisor here at Microsoft. For the last year, I've been partner channel marketing manager, I suppose, for Surface. And I've been back in this role for a couple of weeks, so bear with me. Christine left for the UK, so that's, of course, why I'm filling in now. So I thought I'd start with this. Everyone's probably quite familiar with this, and bear in mind that things could change because things are changing here all the time. But basically, this is our one commercial partner model, so it sort of demonstrates how the build with and the sell with team are connected via the go-to-market team, which is me. So it's from the builder side, that's the team that, you know, if you're working with a partner development manager or if you're using digital channels to engage with our team, and the building co-sale ready or IP co-sale prioritized solutions for the go-to-market team that we then unlock with the sell team. Okay, so co-sale with the sell team, and that's aligning our managed account list to campaigns to drive priorities and propensity within our customers. So a lot of the time, I think if we talk about go-to-market, we're thinking about funding, but there's also a lot of other aspects that Microsoft can offer. So one of those, for the top three, from 1 to 3, we've sort of got the ones that are available to all partners, and then the bottom 3, we've got the ones that are available to managed and co-sale prioritized partners. So for all, we've got advisory, so that doesn't include just your marketing plans, that could include anything across all of marketing in any way that I can help support your business and your solutions. And it's also helping assist your channels to grow in an effective way as well. So number two has been really important for us marketing agencies, and we've engaged with a number that we can recommend you work with if you need any extra support. Because we found that with the funding that we provide to partners, it's really, really valuable for them to have marketing resource or capability to be able to execute what we need executed, and then also to be providing back the level of campaign or POE and all the marketing, I suppose the back end tricks. They're all up to speed, as well as on how to get co-sale prioritized and things like that. Go-to-market services, so that's a portfolio of basically services and products that are available to partners that help accelerate your time to market. If you're needing additional support, so it's not something we use a lot, but it's there for all partners. It's managed through Partner Center. The levels and costs for the different types of content available varies depending on your membership competency and if you're silver and gold. And of course, it's where we host lots of our content and partner university. So with the managed and the co-sale prioritized solutions for those partners is the go-to-market fund. So that's the additional funds that are aligned to campaigns, and especially this year, a heavy focus on workshops and assessments. So that's where my role comes in, allocating the funding, helping partners build their plan and supporting them through to completion. Number 5 is visibility of campaigns to Microsoft customers and our sellers as well. So we've got a couple of channels, Elevate, Point Drive, and Marketing Calendar. We've got an asterisk by Marketing Calendar because that's actually available to all partners as well. So Elevate is it's basically our platform that amplifies partners' case studies, stories, any content you want shared by us. We simply create a post through our internal Elevate, which then can be amplified by anyone within Microsoft. And then number 6, co-sale support. So that's your account-based alignment. So rules of engagement. For co-sale ready, you have to be co-sale ready and prioritized solutions unless you're falling under this year the SMB category, which I'll cover in the next slide. Being a managed partner, so this is all for getting extra go-to-market resource and funding. We have a big focus on a digital-first marketing approach, so there's definitely less of an emphasis on events, and especially at the moment, and the ability to scale. Our other focus has been one-to-one co-funding, though I may have seen an update on that for this coming FY. But I'm going to leave that as preliminary because we haven't had much confirmed at the moment. Shared pipeline through Partner Sales Connect is another rule of engagement. However, I think that's changing from the end of H1. I'll go into that on the next slide. We have a 15-to-1 ROI expectation on the Microsoft investment. So if Microsoft's investing $1, partners investing $1, we expect a 15-to-1 ROI on the Microsoft $1 only. And then the end customer investment funds, ESIFT. So this helps accelerate opportunities that are tracked in pipe. So it helps you close faster. Cool, so what is changing? So this is a slide that I've got preliminary and TBC on for a reason. So this is FY20. For FY21, the changes you can see, we did have one program for SMCC and one program for SMB. So the program for SMB C3 was run through DISTI. Now we've got that program in SMCC and SMB top unmanaged categorized together, and then another program for SMB mid-market together. Similar program execution, but now much more funding is available for workshops and assessments and those types of things. Registration tool, that's what I was talking about on the last slide. So now what I'm seeing is that leads will be entered into Partner Centre instead of Partner Sales Connect, and I have got detailed instruction around that. So I don't think that's something that's coming out fully until the end of H1. But that's one of the key things for POE, the additional funding. Is somebody off mute? Shh. Area and partner matching. This is where I'm nervous. This is a corp slide, so I'm hesitant, but it's saying area matching not required, but highly encouraged, and partner matching is not required. So we'll see how that plays out. Partner selection, similar to last year, and investment type still required for all solution areas. And that's what I've got at the moment, but I know that everything, we're still waiting for how this year lands and everything to be confirmed. So let you know as soon as I do. So this is the two funding buckets that I was talking about. So the SMB mid-market business and the corporate accounts and top unmanaged. So what we're calling our top unmanaged was previously in C3 for SMB last year. So that's now shifted out. So there's a couple of slight changes in there. Again, one of them is just how they're managed, which segment, and then more workshops and assessment. Big focus on pre-sales, and then of course the difference between local prioritized partners and co-sale prioritized partners. So most of you might be familiar with this, but this is what I will send out following this session with the recording of the session and the deck and any extra information you need. But I will send out, this is our integrated marketing plan, that if you want to work with us this year, I request that you complete just this one slide, but a slide per solution area, so we can start to see what partners are focusing on for the year. So it lists out business objectives, market opportunities, and then the partner and Microsoft alignment, and then goes into what are the solutions that exist and then the campaigns that you're planning. So this will just be from July until December, and that's for our H1, Q1 and Q2, and then we'll do a similar thing again for each solution area for H2 sometime in December. So that's for modern workplace or modern work and security is the update. There'll be one for Azure, and there'll be one for BizApp. So the difference between them all will just be in the corner what's stated here, the priorities. So you've got the reminder of what the BGs have talked about. And there isn't one for Surface, but it can be included in the modern work one for sure. But if you're a Surface partner and you've got Co-op, there's a different plan that the team is working through to get from you, because Co-op does need Microsoft approval now. This is the last one that I wanted to cover off. So once we start working together and putting plans together, we need a campaign and marketing plan for investment. So this is just an overview of what these look like. I've changed it a bit this year. I've put it into Excel. It's a lot easier to format and complete, basically. And again, there's one for each solution area. So good to see everyone again, and I hope to work with all of you that I've worked with before and not. Handing over to Anusha. Thank you. Everyone looks so excited about marketing. I love it. Okay, let's do that. Kia ora, everybody. How are we? Good. Can we play a little game, all right? I want to show of hands, and if anyone wants to use the hand up function, you're welcome to. Who's excited about marketing? Yay! Yeah? A little bit of sound would be good as well. So who's excited about partner marketing? Yay! Woo! Okay, who knows what our comms channels are? No. Who knows what our in-a-day programs are? Nice. Who knows what swag stands for? Guess it.
Well, my word, swag, is what you get from an event.
Okay, but what does it stand for? It's an acronym. Anybody have any idea? No? Anyone on the chat? I can't see it. It's stuff we all get, which is super cool. So that's something new for all of you here today. So let's talk about more new stuff, shall we? Let's dive right in. Sorry, I moved the control this way. So our in-a-day programs are a new partner marketing venture, and let me touch a little bit more on that. This is going to be very much of an overview. So we've been running Dashboard in a Day and App in a Day for a few years now. That's why they're in the darkest color. And Azure AI in a Day is only about a month old. So we're super excited about the 6 programs that we have here in New Zealand. And we're going to get heaps more coming up in the next FY. So get excited. What is in-a-day workshop? That's a cool feature. I did not know that was going to turn up. So what is our in-a-day workshop? So these are some hands-on workshops led by partners for customers. So at the moment, how it works is that we provide you as partners some funding, and customers come in, they learn about a whole program, say Power BI, Power Apps, Azure Synapse most recently, and they can apply this to their jobs when they go back. So this is something that you guys can work on with them, build a bit of a relationship with them, and then this translates into leads. So yeah, so I guess this is more of a relationship management tool, and this is an example. So Dashboard in a Day is one of our oldest in-a-day programs. So it's a one-day hands-on workshop for business analysts that covers full capabilities of Power BI. So I think it's a really, really cool concept. They come in, they learn about a whole software, and they leave feeling really comfortable, and you guys then continue this relationship with them offline. So I guess what you're wondering is how you can be involved in the 3 types of programs. So we have Power Platform, which is Dashboard in a Day and App in a Day, Dynamics, which is Customer Insights in a Day, and the Azure, the newest ones, Analytics in a Day, Data Modernization in a Day, and AI in a Day. There are so many, you guys. What's new in FY21 for our Power Platform? So these are a lot of words that you're going to get on slides later, so feel free to read through them. But what's most exciting is because of what's happened recently, we've actually moved a lot of things virtually, and that's meant for our in-a-day programs. There are no capacity issues, and we can reach more audience in New Zealand. So at the moment, in the last FY, we had events only in Auckland, some in Wellington, and some in Christchurch, but now we're getting customers from all across New Zealand, which is awesome, and it helps you interact a little bit more as well with people. And we're trying to figure out how to best handle the kind of engagement, the one-on-one interaction, the impact that you can make. And if you have any feedback on that, again, as Pip said, we do feed a lot of stuff back to APAC and Corp, and we're trying to model these programs over and over, depending on what works for you. There are a lot of resources as well that you have access to, such as best practices and documents. I'm happy to share this with you if you want to get in touch with me if you're interested in the Power Platform in a Days. Cool. There are some eligibility requirements here as well. You can get in touch with your PDM or PTSR across these. This is something new in FY21 as well. There are some beginner and advanced requirements here, but that's more for later. Cool. And this is for Dashboard in a Day. There are 2 different ones in Power Platforms. Analytics in a Day. Oh, that's not showing up. It's all good. Analytics in a Day is one of our newest Azure in a Day programs, and this was launched in the last quarter. So you guys got either $1,000 US of funding or Azure passes to give out to your customers. Oh,
That's all good. But one of the coolest things about the Azure in a Day programs is that you can self-train through them. And ignore that, okay, this is the page, but these are the resources that you can access and actually self-train you or your team as many times as you want. And this is something cool that we've come up with recently, because initially we used to do the trainings here or kind of remotely, but it wouldn't be accessible to everyone. They wouldn't really be recorded, but this is on demand anytime you want. And there's also a lot of resources for marketing and agendas and so on. So the Azure ones are really cool. We've done a pilot set now, and we're very excited for a new FY for those. That's very quick on the inner days. And now we're going to move on to partner comms. I'm so disappointed that no one put their hand up. So no one's got emails from me before? No?
Yes.
Yes? Yes? Anyone on Yammer channel? Yammer channel? I really hope you are, because we have some cool stuff on there. Okay, quick overview. Yammer. This is a post that I put up today. Congratulations again, Enlighten. Yammer channel is one of our biggest communities here. We have quick updates that go out in the form of announcements or updates. The announcements come directly to your emails, so that's every update, including Ricky's update to do with name changes and so on. So guys, make sure you subscribe to that. Everything, all the links are below. Next up, we have our monthly webinar and newsletter. So monthly webinars happen on the last Thursday every month. There's one 2 weeks from now, I think. The slide deck and session recording are also posted to Yammer, so please join our Yammer network. We also have a fantastic newsletter that goes out. Pip touched a little bit on the case studies as well, so we chuck in all our internal news, Microsoft news, lots of case studies, lots of cool stories, cool things for you to check out and get excited about Microsoft. As you all said, you are all excited about marketing, so I'm sure you'll love it. Our Partner Hub is a one-stop shop. You can get blog articles here. There's lots of links, lots of inspire information. This one's not scrolling, but I'm sure you can. There's information on our ISVs. There's business continuity information as well. So yeah, please check it out. Again, the link is up there. Otherwise, there's a slide at the end with all of these links. Lastly, we have our Twitter. Follow us, please. Like, comment, subscribe. We have some cool stuff that goes on here too. But that's our comms channel, so please connect with us. This is me telling you to kind of reach out if you have any feedback for what you want to hear from us, any content that you'd like to kind of engage with, more Azure stuff, not so much Azure stuff, let me know. That's it from me, short and sweet. Kim?
Thank you. All right. Let me see. All right, that's me. I'm going to keep it really short. I work as the Partner Channel Marketing Manager for Enablement. Essentially what it is partner training. But today what I'm talking about is actually Microsoft Inspire. So I'm sure everybody here, you're all partners. You'll know the biggest event we have for partners every year. Microsoft Inspire is happening next week on, well, Monday, Tuesday, but in New Zealand times, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? It's registration's available right now. It's open and you can attend it at no cost. There's lots of things coming up for it, all different sorts of content. Just real quickly going through it. The core content will be the Microsoft corporate SLT talking about it. So that's your Satyas, Brad Smith, Judson Althoffs. Interstellar programming are sessions that happen throughout the entire day. So this will be a 2-day session. So for the full 48 hours, this will be the Microsoft Inspire experience. And there'll be all sorts of things you can just kind of tune into if the main sessions are getting a little bit stale for you. Digital breakouts, that's kind of where we talk about more going in depth with a professional in terms of certain things you want to look into, replays of it. And lastly, community connections, which is kind of your way of enjoying yourself throughout the entire experience, but also connecting with people in Microsoft, to just have a good chat and connect with different people. Really quickly, so all of that's going to be managed through something we call My Inspire, which will allow you to interface, book, RSVP into different sessions. Currently, there are over 500 sessions, and as far as I'm checking, those sessions are growing day by day as well. So there's more and more content coming up. I think it'll be a great experience for everybody to attend. And just for now, there is plenty of content just to get you excited and riled up, around the connection zone and what the session scheduler is available online if you just do a quick search for Microsoft Inspire. Lastly, there's something unique to Asia Pacific is that we have the Microsoft APAC kickoff, which I think all of us are really excited for as well. And essentially, it's gonna be happening on Monday in New Zealand time, 2 p.m. And we're gonna get presentations from Andrea Della Matea, which is the president of Microsoft Asia Pacific, and they're going to be talking a little bit and just getting everybody excited for Microsoft Inspire on Tuesday. So that's just me in a real quick 2 to 3 minutes. If there's any questions around Inspire or anything else we've covered, I think, yeah.
Thanks, Ken. Just on Inspire, like I know it's not Vegas, but you need 10 grand in your back pocket to go to Vegas and you need your boss to sponsor you to go. All the content of what you normally go to Inspire with, I mean, like hold on, you're like gripping with your teeth with the most revolting hangover that you've ever had in your life, or no sleep, is now you get to do it in the comfort of your own home. So all the content streams and those that are marketers in the room, there's some really great in-depth content on marketing. There's also some amazing speakers and thought leadership and core notes and things like that. So I do encourage you to if you haven't registered, do register and take a look at the schedule, because it's not just about deep product knowledge. Vice versa, if you're a dynamic, if you're James Page and you're going to go deep into dynamics, you're going to drown yourself in dynamics for 48 hours. But vice versa, there's just such a broad piece of content available there. So I really do encourage you sort of to go and take a look. Look, we have spent like on point an hour and a half. I know it felt like longer, drowning you in some content. We've covered off our business priorities by solution areas. We've covered off customer marketing, how we market to our customers. We've explained what swag is. I didn't actually know what swag stands for. I just thought swag was just like swag. Anyway, and we've also covered off Inspire, how partner marketing. You're going to get this deck coming along. So you will have the names of who's who at the Microsoft Zoo of who you need to connect to. It's a case of reaching out. We're always highly engaged with our partners and ridiculously helpful about enabling your business and working alongside you. So it's about, you guys need to lean into us about how we can either lead you on the right path or lead you astray. I mean, that was Inspire last year in Vegas. So it's all about just leaning in and taking some of this content and deep diving into it if you want to take a little bit more of a look. But I'm going to open up the floor. Any questions? And also to those online, are there any questions? You can take a look if there's anything online popping up. Great, so I'm going to tell you about the wine and beer then. That is just over there. Help yourself to a nibble and a drink, and we're all hanging around if you want to have a chat and ask questions there. But look, thanks for attending. We love it when you turn up. I know we like to sync you in Microsoft content. That's just what we love to do. But yeah, all good. So we've got someone online. No?
Thank you, Pip.
Thanks all online. Thanks for joining us and hanging in there.
Are you going out?